All right, welcome to the Organizedpreneur podcast episode. And today I'm talking with Hilary Nichols, and she's a creator and the host of Sorry, It's Discontinued.
Oh,
I
you
love
said
that
that's so
title.
great.
I love that title, where she highlights the stories, the careers, the experiences of the retail community. And with more than 25 years in the beauty and luxury in beauty and luxury retail, she is still working in the industry today, and she wants to preserve retail history and give a voice to the retail community. And I must say, Hilary, this is so different, from what people are doing. I love the fact that you want to preserve retail history and give a voice to this community, because I've worked in retail. Okay.
You
I've worked in
have?
retail. It was a long time ago. I would say nearly 30 years ago.
Wow, I'll dream. So just yesterday. Just yesterday.
Just yesterday. And I don't know, is it different than it used to be? I mean, I'm so curious to dive in and see what this is all about, because I don't even go to stores anymore.
Yeah, I know.
And so it's
Yeah,
gotta
makes
be,
sense.
I really appreciate what you're doing. That's basically what I'm saying. I
Oh,
appreciate what you're
thank you for
doing,
that.
because it's gotta be really tough now. you know
It is.
customer service, people being impatient. They're used to, clicking a button and getting this and ordering online and
Yeah,
all
we're
the
spoiled.
things.
You just get
Yeah,
it. I want it right now. I
yeah,
want it. I wanted it yesterday. I want that plus
yeah.
my free gifts. And I want it
Yeah,
at a discount.
absolutely. Absolutely. So what I want you
It's
to do,
changed.
yeah. So what I want you to do is go ahead. I know I didn't give the full, bio. Go ahead and clean that up if you want to clean that up, the bio that I gave, and then we're going to dive into a little bit about your podcast and your experience in the retail industry, and just, I'm going to come up with some questions. I know, but let's go ahead and
We're
just
gonna
kind of
go
dive in.
Go with the flow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my name is Hilary, and I appreciate being here so much. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I admire you. And this podcast is really a love letter to retail and the retail community, because I have been in retail. I started when I was 24 for a brand that is not around anymore called Prescriptives. But it was this whole world that just kind of opened up for me in beauty and fragrance and connecting with people and the whole experience of it, the trainings and community, the women that I worked with and the men. It just, from that point on, when I was 24, I fell in love and was with Prescriptives for just a year. Life happened, had 3 kids, and I kind of moved from different stores and different brands, but I've been in the industry for over 25 years now. I should say
Wow.
26 plus, but uh,
25 plus 26. That's a good number.
it's a good number. Yeah. I have been just, enamored with retail and beauty and fragrance and the people and the stories. And so much has changed, especially in the last 10 years, the last 5 years. And when podcasting started to really become really prevalent, I'm like, wow, we need to talk about these stories and what the retail community, what we are experiencing, and also highlight these amazing people. So I wanted to sit with people that I've worked with, that I've met, that I might just meet, that have been in retail, and hear their story and how they use retail to get to where they are or what they're doing now to inspire people to go back to the humanity of it. Because I think retail, the history of it, it's been about community. And Also really talking about the things that we don't get a chance to talk about, what it's like standing for hours. And some of the men and women I work with in retail still work other jobs and they're raising families, they're caregivers and they give to everyone else and their customers and they go home and they still have another job. So, it's really just speaking to their experience and wanting to highlight the people,
Yeah.
not just the products, but the stories and the feelings that go along with all of it.
Yeah. Well, I think that, without the people and the stories, there would be no products,
Yeah,
So that all goes, hand in hand. And so
absolutely.
you can't, I mean, and I'm sure that you've had a lot of stories. And what would be a story or an experience that you had when you were in the retail, like you were, on the ground,
Yeah.
what was one of the stories that really, because I have a story because like I said, I worked in retail. I worked at, it used to be called Sanger Harris. I'm in Texas, by the way. So it used to be called Sanger Harris, and then I forgot they rebranded, and I don't think it even exists anymore, but that was
Yeah.
back in the mid to late 80s.
Oh, to be in a store in the 80s. Uh,
And
Dreams.
yes, oh my gosh. And so there were clients, that I loved doing it, and there's always one bad customer that would just ruin the rest of the
Yeah,
day.
I
So
know.
my question is, so what's a story that has always been with you, whether it's good or bad, of maybe a customer or an experience or what have you, that you talk about because it really made an impact on you as you were working, in retail. Did that make sense? That was a lot of words.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No, beautifully said. I do have a lot of stories because you do connect with a lot of people as and when you work in retail for so long, one of my favorite stories and experiences is working with people that I get to know their families. And so there's a mom that she would bring her daughter in. And every year, starting when her daughter was like a freshman in high school, we would go through steps on makeup and what was comfortable for her daughter, what she wanted, what her mom was comfortable with, and just speaking to skincare. And then they would sit with me, and it usually would take an hour, and I get to know them and know their lives and, aunts and uncles and vacations. And, they become not just customers or clients, they become friends. And being a part of their life and their experience and still continue to grow with them and
Yeah.
watch their daughter get older and every year come in and get her daughter would get her makeup done for homecoming and then eventually prom and then graduation. And that was so impactful until it just even grew to where I did her makeup, the daughter's makeup for her wedding, and running across them. And the daughter is married and, has children now of her own. And so that that's one of, many stories, or going to one of my friends. I mean, I know I could keep going on all the stories, but another one that was just so impactful for me was this woman who had a caregiver. Her daughter would make sure that she was taken care of and had her skincare, what she needed. At the time, I was with Chanel, and I was fortunate enough to take care of Lillian's skincare and makeup and getting to know the family and just sitting with Lillian and hearing her talk about her children and her memories and her moments of when she was younger, how she had met her husband who had been since passed away.
Yeah.
Like, just things like that are just so invaluable to me, you know?
Are you still in the retail industry? Okay, okay,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah, but I'm in a different capacity now.
okay.
So I was behind the counter. I had been with Prescriptives and Clarence, and then eventually Chanel. I was with Chanel for 16 and a half years behind the counter. Half of that time was part time because I was raising the kids, and daycare was something I couldn't afford. So my husband and I would switch. He would come home, he's a social worker. And so he would come home from work and then I would go to work. So, make ends meet. And so
Mhm.
I did that for quite some time. And then as the kids got older, I started going to work full time and at Dillard's for many years and Saks Fifth Avenue and Neiman Marcus and eventually Tom Ford. And now I am freelancing for Estee Lauder. Very thankful and to have the opportunity I can go and work part time and I do that about 4 days a week and basically highlight fragrance now. And
Gotcha.
so big part
Mm.
of the family, and the community, but I also have time to focus on the podcast.
Yeah, yeah. I never was in the cosmetic industry, but I always admired people who could do that. I mean, that's like up close and personal. Like that's
I
in your
admire you. So you
face.
were in the
So
clothing
I
department or
yeah,
accessories
so
or
I was in clothing and I really liked it and because well, I liked it because I can get my clothes on a discount
nice score.
and, yeah, that was the biggest benefit, and a lot of times when the shipment would come in, we would be able to see
Ye-
the newer designs, and then I got really familiar with the different, labels and who's my favorite label as far as
Yes, and
clothing and all
designer
that.
and
Yeah, designer, yeah,
yeah.
and so
Wow. See, I
yeah.
admire anyone who works in the clothing department because that is not easy. Connecting with a customer in the midst while they're either looking or you have an appointment and you have to go and pull clothes and style and
Yes,
then set it up in your dressing room. And they might not even end up liking anything
I know.
and then they return it. And
Yep.
so that
Yeah.
is really challenging when you're working in
Yeah.
that type of department.
And it was. I mean, I enjoyed meeting and connecting with the people, and it always made my day when people would come back and they would specifically be looking for me. That
Yeah.
said,
You made an impression.
yeah, that really spoke volumes. And I always did my best to stay focused on them, make it about them and things like that. But of course there were those other experiences
Yeah.
that, as with anything, especially when you're dealing in customer service and things like that.
Mhm.
And like
Oh,
we
yeah.
were talking about a little bit earlier the times have changed. People's attention span and patience
Yeah.
is definitely
That has
different.
changed a
It's
lot.
changed a
It has.
lot, a
I
lot. Go
think
ahead.
more people are wanting to have more connections now. I did have a gentleman yesterday. He was looking for someone just to wrap a gift. The sales associate who had helped him hadn't wrapped it, and I wasn't busy. You know what? Let me go ahead and take the time. I would love to
Mm,
do this for you.
mm.
And so I'm sitting there wrapping it, and he was so appreciative. He said, I miss going into stores and having this kind of experience
Yeah.
and talking to someone and connecting. And that has changed so much nowadays. And I know
Yeah.
we all feel it, even
Mhm.
associates who are in retail
Yeah. Yeah.
and
And
taking the
there are
time.
no yeah, and there are no more malls or mostly strip centers and things like that. I don't know, for me, I felt like the malls provided a better connection for people to connect because I would just kinda sit in the mall and just people watch sometimes.
The best. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. The mall and the airport. I mean, you cannot go wrong.
You cannot go wrong. I did both of those. One of my best friends, she would come here 'cause, she lives in Arkansas, and
Nice.
she would come here to visit, and we would just sit in the airport for hours just people watching,
That's awesome.
So, yeah, yeah. Now you can hardly get me into an airport or, to go shopping now, but
Yeah.
I really do. I mean, I enjoy connecting online. However, I know that there's a different level of connection in
Yeah,
person. That's the human connection is so important. And
it
so
is. Yeah.
so that brings me to another question. So since your podcast is not necessarily about selling products, right?
Mhm.
It's more about giving a voice to the retail community. So how are you trying to recreate that intimate behind the counter connection with your podcast listeners? Is that possible?
That is something I'm still learning. So
Yeah.
truth is, I am going through it with a lot of faith and I'm listening to my heart. And when I am drawn to somebody or someone approaches me to want to be on the podcast who's in the retail community, my focus is on them and their story and highlighting also the customer service aspect. So as a way to highlight that associate or friend. And also for people who are customers, who are clients, seeing this person and their story and how they really care. And
Yeah.
there are people out there there are millions or
Yeah.
thousands, I don't know the math,
Yeah.
but there are people out there who work in retail that do want to make an impact or make a
Yeah.
difference. They
Yeah.
care.
Yeah.
And there are more people out there than there are not. And so
Yeah.
even if you run across one or a few that are grumpy, having a bad day,
Mhm.
is there's 5 more out there who want to make a difference and connect with you and appreciate that you came into the store and shopped with them.
Yeah. I bet. I bet.
Absolutely. It's so important right now to not focus on the bad, this bad customer service I experienced. It's remembering or highlighting the ones that were good,
Yeah.
because then people are going to want to really go into these stores and really shop. And I know nowadays with the news and people don't feel safe and people are scared and also not feeling appreciated and they just want to get in and out. Patience is, like you said, a big factor, but it's pausing, picking a store you feel safe in, seeing an associate that you walk by that took the time to smile and say hello to you.
Yeah.
That's somebody you want to shop with.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you go to a register in some of these stores, they don't even have registers all over anymore, and you're looking for a register, but the person who said, "Hey, how can I help?"
Yeah.
That's who you want to shop with.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
highlighting all of that, the good
I'm
stuff.
and I mean, I'm glad you said that. It made me think about the direction that everything is going. Like AI and what do you going
Like
into a
online
store.
shopping and
Well, it not even that. When you go to a store now, and he, let me say it this way. So for me, like grocery shopping, my husband does all of the grocery shopping, right? So
I
I
love
don't
that.
have to experience
Oh,
all of that
yeah.
that happens in the grocery store. But when they have a lot of the stores, I know there's some of the Walmart stores and some of the other stores where everything is just I can't even remember what you
Like
call it now.
curbside or
Curbside. Now, I will say this, I used to like curbside. I guess
yeah.
they're still doing it, but I don't know.
Yeah, I use curbside. I use it for
Yeah.
HEB and I do use it for Walmart.
Yeah, yeah. And so, but when you go in and there's no people at the counters and it's the self-checkout that I absolutely hate. I
Self
do not like self-checkout. And so I know that that's where everything is, kind of going now. And now that's not something that I could see. I can't see how that would happen in the industry that you're in though.
Well, you'd be surprised. I mean,
Wow.
you could even go, and buy luxury items from Amazon. I know it's shifted because of Saks Global and the whole
Right.
Amazon connection and things like that. When you go on Amazon, you can buy
Yeah.
a brand new bag, even 10 grand, what have you, check out, but with curbside, one of the great things about curbside It depends on the store, it depends on the company, but most of the time, if you do a curbside order, like say you order from Sephora, the order that you placed to that store that you're picking up, that's the store that's going to pull the items. They will get the credit. The
Got
associates
it.
in that store will have a positive impact from that. And so it helps their business at that store. When you
Yeah.
buy online, then it is different. But going back to self checkout, I think it depends on some of the stores, but
Of course.
it's like, and then you go to self checkout and there's not anybody there to help too. So
Yeah.
I think some of the stores, like even Target, they're not really focusing as much on self checkout as they were.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it did impact a lot of jobs, and some stores and companies I think handled it better than others.
Yeah. Yeah.
Depending on where you go, like even your Costco, they still have
Yeah.
associates around to help.
Yeah.
But I can understand. I mean, there's
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's that's just now my husband is one that he does not like curbside because he does not want anyone else to pick out the food for him. He has to touch it
my
and
husband's
pick
the
it out.
same,
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, I don't want people picking out food for me.
especially produce.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
produce or meat or anything, and
I
he
know.
likes
I
to, touch it, and
I
I don't
totally
even
get
like
it.
going to the grocery store.
You don't. I'm the same. I have to be in a mentally prepared. But that's why I do curbside. I don't mind to do the curbside. I've
Yeah,
had good experiences,
I
but
have to.
I can
Yeah,
understand like not
yeah.
wanting to go in a grocery store. It's overwhelming.
Oh my gosh.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I've
what?
always been like
How
that
many
though.
cereals? And then cereal is not even good for me anymore.
Right,
Like, where do I even go? How many crackers? Okay, why is
exactly.
there a billion eggs right now? These poor chickens.
I know, right? I know. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So, all right. So you mentioned that getting more listeners and direct feedback is your primary focus right now, and because that's what's missing. So given that you want to preserve the retail industry and the memories that's attached to shopping,
Yeah.
what kind of two-way conversation are you hoping to have with your audience once they start sharing their feedback?
Oh. I would like to know what are some of their experiences. Also, what are things that they would like for me to talk about?
Mhm.
Um, how would they be more motivated to shop in store as a customer?
Mm,
How
that's a
would
good
they
one.
be more motivated to be a better sales associate?
Mhm.
I guess what are the ways that we can bridge that gap
Yeah.
and really just dive into each person's personal feelings about retail now
Yeah.
and, I guess connect with it that way. I hope, does that answer your question? I
Yeah,
don't
it
know.
does. It does because I was thinking as you were saying that, I don't and I think I said this earlier, I don't know of anyone that's doing that type of podcast.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
that's
know.
very, very unique. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing,
No.
really, because I think once the word starts to, spread out and people start hearing the feedback and everything, I think that's going to be people are going to really pay attention because I've never heard of a podcast that
Yeah.
talks
The
about,
focus is on,
retail, that focuses on,
yeah.
retail and
I
and those
know. The truth is that when I started talking about it, people were like, well, why don't you start talking about this product? And then you can sponsor. And I do. I talk about discontinued products, but my focus is not the product. It's the person telling the story about the product.
yeah.
Because when I hear, like a guest that I just had, Mega, him talking about wearing Gucci Rush when he was in high school
Yeah.
and how he felt wearing this fragrance,
Yeah.
you know, part of just the human experience,
Yeah.
that's the focus. So a lot of people were surprised that Like, why are you going to talk about standing all day?
Yeah.
That, Hillary. Who wants to hear about the Saks global bankruptcy? I don't know. Or the morning break, the morning meetings, that
Right.
we have in the shoe department. And
My gosh. Yeah.
customers and people don't always, but it's like, oh yeah, everybody, let's go and get those credits. And you just want to like, where's my coffee? Like,
Right.
why is this happening? So
Wow. Yeah.
I appreciate that feedback because it still is a little challenging when I'm explaining what I'm doing. But my favorite part is when I share it with the retail community
Yeah.
and they hear even just the name.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's discontinued. I don't have your lipstick anymore. They just
Yeah.
totally get it, you know?
And I'm glad you said that because I was just gonna ask, how did you come up with that name? I mean, I understand because when you go into a store or what have you, and you're looking for your favorite item and it's like, "Sorry, it's discontinued."
Right? It's
I
the
mean,
worst. It's the
yeah.
worst to deliver that news and the worst to take it. Like, what? I don't have my foundation shade anymore. You know how many years it took
Yes.
me to find this? So, for people who are in the industry and they hear that, they recognize,
Yeah.
what it is, but it's not about discontinued products. It's about
Yeah.
the feeling behind, that
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. I mean, that's very interesting. Again, I think that's a very unique space you're in, and I think it's going to really matter. Now, how long have you been thinking about doing this? And well, let me back up and say, first of all, congratulations on your
Oh,
anniversary, your
thank you.
podcast anniversary, because I know that this month, as of the 5th, I believe, was a
Yes.
year. So,
Yeah.
I mean, kudos to you. I mean, that is
Thank you.
very, very exciting. You've been sticking with it, and
Yeah, one a
it's
week
one a week. Yeah.
and then a few extra 'cause I'm,
Yeah.
like, trying different
Yeah.
things.
I mean, that's a huge milestone because a lot of people don't even stay in it that long,
Yeah.
especially if they don't have a passion for the topic and the audience and things like that, and a why for why you're doing it,
Yeah.
it's that. So I'm really, really excited that you know your why, who your community is and all that. What's been the most challenging part about podcasting?
The
Yeah.
loneliness of it,
Yeah.
truthfully, it's not knowing the answers to all the questions I have, like, I don't know, like even the IT stuff. And I will be completely honest, I have used ChatGPT since
Mhm.
I started to help.
Mhm.
Like, how do I do a podcast? And what should I
Absolutely.
do? And how do I, create stories and
Mhm.
all the questions? How do I trademark? What's an
Mhm.
LLC?
Right.
I knew nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when I started the whole process, I was going through a big personal family. There was a
Yeah.
big thing that happened in my life, and it
Mhm.
just motivated me. What do I want?
Yeah.
I was about to turn 50, and so the biggest challenge for me has been really just answering those questions on my own, but also learning how to ask help, which is one of the reasons I love Podground.io so much, because having that community space where you feel safe
Yeah.
and not embarrassed about putting yourself out there and your vulnerabilities, and like, I don't know what I'm doing half the time.
Yeah.
I am winging it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
it's also learning to be
yeah.
vulnerable and ask for help.
A lot of us are winging it, girl.
Well, coming from you,
Yeah.
Aldrima, that means a lot because you have been doing this for a while and
I've been
you are, it's impressive.
I've been doing it since 2013, and I definitely didn't know what I was doing. But also the podcasting industry keeps changing and evolving and just
Yeah.
keeps and it's there's so many podcasters now that, and people say, oh, the podcasting industry, is flooded, and every time you look around somebody's starting a new podcast. That may be true, but not a lot of people are staying in it. That's the key. There's a
Yeah.
lot of people that give up. They go through the pod fade and all of
Yeah.
that because they have not launched with a good solid foundation of knowing their why and
Yeah.
and having
Absolutely.
a good targeted audience and people that I mean
Yeah.
it's just and I think that people just don't realize that there are a lot of moving parts and when people get into podcasting they just want to set up the mic and just start talking, and so
Right.
it doesn't
There's so many moving
there's
parts.
a lot of moving
That's what
parts.
I was very surprising to me, and I've also had to really learn to give myself grace because I don't know, and it's okay. You had said at the beginning before we started recording, like, we might say something or you might make a mistake. It's okay.
Yeah.
We're human. We're
Yeah.
just gonna figure this out and just keep showing up and
Yeah.
be consistent.
Absolutely.
I wanted to be
Absolutely.
consistent for myself and
Yeah.
also for the community that I'm focusing on, and that's, the drive to keep doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So you shared that while you consider yourself a planner,
Yeah.
you actually don't do well when you overplan.
Yeah, I
So
create a lot of anxiety for myself.
overplanning will do that. So how does that mindset clash with the new behind the scene demands of growing your audience, such as like planning a virtual event that you're currently working on? How does all of that how is that
Yeah.
working?
How am I able to balance the 2?
Yeah.
I plan what I can plan, but okay, so I have my days that I focus on the podcast, my editing, my recording, and my, the life blood of the podcast. And then the other stuff, I tell like the email list.
Yeah.
Man, I do not want to do an email list. I think it's being in retail for so many years. Have you sent out your emails? How many emails did you send out? I don't want to send people emails. I feel so bad. I am so, but that said, I know I need to do it. And I've been working on it with the email octopus that you had
Yes.
recommended. But
Yeah.
so I tell myself 30 minutes, Hilary, and I make appointments with myself.
Yeah.
I have it in my phone or I'll write my to-do list. I'm all
Yeah.
about a list because it
Yes.
helps with my attention.
Mhm.
And I let myself go if, give myself grace if I
Absolutely.
don't get to all of it. And that's
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
just say, okay, tomorrow,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's planning what I
Funny.
can.
Yeah. Funny you said that. So my emails go out on Mondays, right? And so
Okay.
and without fail, so my emails go out on Mondays, my podcast publishes on Tuesdays. So and I too work with a to-do list. I love my to-do list.
Oh, I love a
I
list.
love I will add something that I forgot to put on my to-do list just so that I could check it off.
Oh, it's so gratifying.
And so it is. And so, but this week has, I've had a lot, quite a few things going on. I was in an AI conference this past weekend, so I was really focused on my presentation, things like that. And so
Wow.
I actually forgot to to create my email and schedule it to go out. And so for this Monday, for yesterday. And so when I went and looked, because by the time I came home, I was too tired and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff. And then I
of
thought,
course.
did I do that? And then I was like, no. But going back to what what you said, and I believe the same thing. I gave myself some grace. So what I
Yeah.
did was I said, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift and start sending my emails out on Tuesdays, the same days that my podcast airs, so that when the email goes out, it can point to the podcast and it's published to the current podcast and it's
It's a
published.
good
And
idea.
it's, there is a consistency with the email and the podcast episode And so I was like, and so I thought to myself, wow, why didn't I do that before? Because it was like, why are you putting yourself through all of this, right? And so when I gave
Yeah.
myself some grace and decided to do that, it was like, it's okay. It's okay
Yeah.
because I was kind of stressing and, at
Yeah.
first, and I was like, oh my gosh, I got to do this,
Are you hard on yourself?
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
am. I
me
am hard
too.
on myself because, I believe in doing things in excellence but also sometimes that could bleed over into expecting perfection. There's like a thin
Yeah, I know.
line. There's a
I
thin
know.
line. Yeah.
I have this thing I learned in therapy that progress, not perfection.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
it's okay. Perfection really does not exist.
It does not
And
exist.
the progress that we make, that's where the perfection is, that we keep
Absolutely.
going.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So,
Good for
and
you.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and see, and even though, it doesn't matter that the fact that I've been doing this, podcasting since 2013 and
Yes,
in
that's a
business since
while.
2003, there's still growth. There's always room for growth. And so when you allow yourself grace, like you were saying, that still is important in the whole scheme of things because you got
Mhm.
to allow yourself to grow.
Yeah.
You can't, just
Yeah. I feel like you grow until, our
until you die.
body, yeah, our body kind of moves on,
Yeah.
So you can't stop growing and learning.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
also supporting each other as
And
we
supporting each
do
other.
it.
And that's why I do community is so important. Like we're talking about the
Yeah.
pod ground community and it's well, that's how God created us. He
Yeah.
created us to be in community with each other. That's
Absolutely.
so when you don't have community, you realize it's like something is missing.
Yeah.
So that's because
We're
that's
not
how we're
supposed to
designed.
do it alone.
We're not supposed to. Yeah. So
Yeah.
in your form, you asked a very honest question. Are newsletters important?
Yeah.
And
Along with
since you noted that that you don't like the idea of adding an email list, right? And
truth.
you find the details overwhelming. I wanted to kind of dive into that because I feel like it's very important because when it comes to the marketing tools, and I'm glad that you said, you were using Email Octopus. I think it's
Yeah.
very user friendly.
Yeah. I just started. I created the account. So I'm still learning,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Give yourself some grace, give yourself some grace.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Step one.
But sometimes we feel like the marketing tools disrupt your go with the flow approach. So is that the case? Do you feel like that will disrupt your go with the flow approach or what?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. Because even just thinking and about the email list, and then when you bring up newsletter, I literally have like a sinking feeling like a newsletter. I
Yeah.
have to add that,
Yeah.
like, I just
Yeah.
want to do the
Yeah.
podcasting part,
Right.
you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
And I know you can't, I think Remy had referenced this in one of her, when she was a guest, I had listened to, I forget what show, but that her idea when she first started was if you build it, they will come. And that it wasn't necessarily the case. You have to do the legwork and the different
Yeah.
details and marketing. That's
Yeah.
where my
Yeah.
challenge is.
And even I did when I first started out. I was
I did
like, I'm just going to get on the microphone, talk, and they'll come. No, they did not.
that's where I am. Yeah.
Email marketing, it's probably one of the best ways to stay connected, to your community and your audience and the people that you want to serve. You just have to decide on of course, who your audience is and how the email will benefit them, just like your podcast, right?
Okay.
How your podcast will benefit your audience, especially if you're creating that ecosystem like I talked about, because my ecosystem is three parts. So there
I'm going to write
it's
this
the
down.
podcast, it's virtual events, and the email list. So I remember as we were talking about it, when I mentioned virtual events, you were like, I don't want to do a virtual event.
I know.
I don't want to teach,
That sounds
you
very
know.
scary.
And
Yeah.
so and you don't have to. You can do a virtual event around an audience or a community that you want to serve, but I think even as we were on the call, we had talked about
Yeah.
perhaps doing something, just bringing them together on a call. And even if you think about it, your podcast is a virtual event. Like this is a virtual event when you
That's
think
true.
about it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So if you don't think about it separately, the only thing that's different when you think about virtual events is you need to make sure you find a way to capture the emails, the name and the emails. And that's really the only difference because
Okay.
if you are if you're a podcaster and you're tapping into your audience and you want to stay connected to to your audience and you may have a new some new insight, new information or something, and they want to hear from you, then by creating this type of virtual event, you're on camera, you can do that inside of Riverside and just repurpose that into a podcast. And
Okay.
you can do it that way. I think the thing is not thinking about it as another thing to do.
Yeah. Well, when you talk about it, just getting everybody together, I think about, inviting my colleagues and friends and retail community and just having one
Yeah.
topic and we all can just talk about it.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
It's, and I'm thinking I'll start it by just doing it with a small group first and then see how that goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But have like a retail therapy session where people can
Absolutely.
just be a part
Absolutely.
of the community and not
Yeah,
feel so alone in retail.
absolutely. And so, in terms of the logistics of something like that, if you were looking to expand that audience, you can put the event on, because I think I had mentioned I use Eventbrite
Okay.
platform. So to get it out there to other people that may not know me or may not have heard of me. Right.
Yeah.
And so because I have a love hate relationship with social media,
No, me too.
and posting and trying to get people to oh my gosh,
I
that
know.
just drives me insane. However, there is obviously a benefit to doing
So
that. So
positive.
there is
Yeah.
a benefit to doing it and it makes sense to do that. But when you connect, and now I'm just kind of talking about logistics. When you connect your event on a platform like Eventbrite, that way you can capture the emails
Okay.
and then you can import those emails into Email Octopus.
Okay.
Okay. Now you have to do it manually.
So the emails I get from Eventbrite, I have to manually input into
Yeah.
Email
Yeah.
Octopus. That
And
is one
so
thing that I was like, I have to
that you
plug
didn't,
in all these
yeah.
emails.
And it could be a monthly one. It doesn't have to be weekly. It really does not have to be weekly.
Yeah. Well, I
So
was thinking every 2 months.
yeah, there
That
you
felt
go.
safe.
And the thing is when, even when I talk about, things like, adding certain things to your
Hmm.
ecosystem, it's
Yeah.
gotta be something that you can commit to effortlessly. I can't even say the word
Effortlessly.
effortlessly. Okay.
Yes. I
If you can
totally
commit to
agree.
that, every 2 months and it doesn't feel like overwhelm, then go with that.
Yeah. I
Go
feel
with
like when
that.
I speak to it in my head and I
Mhm.
I get that like sinking feeling, I'm like, okay, wait, maybe I got to slow down. I got to do it a little different. So when I think about every few months or 2
Yeah.
months, it felt safe
Mhm.
and I like the idea. I should say I love the idea because then it did make sense about it being about community and not
Yeah.
like an event.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
event, I want to
exactly.
just go and like hide in the corner.
Right.
But community, we're in it together. It's
Yeah.
not,
And that's how
Hillary
you
and it's all of
yeah.
us.
Yeah.
So
And that's how you grow your community. So you would have so as far as platforms, you have Riverside, right? So that's and you don't have to go to Zoom, you don't have to use any other platform.
well,
Invite
that's what
them.
how many
Yeah.
people can you have on Riverside? Like,
As
say for an
many
virtual.
as you can on Zoom or more. It doesn't, yeah, yeah.
Do you send the link to all these people,
You
or you have
send the
one
link
link and people just go and
and they
grab the
come
link?
in, yeah, and they come in, you schedule it inside of Riverside, whatever the event is. And then you, with your email list, you have that link inside of the email that you send out to people. And so when they come, they're going to click on that link and join you in here inside of Riverside, inside of your studio, your retail therapy studio,
Okay.
right? You
Yeah.
know? And so, because the thing about it is to just keep the tasks to a minimum. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that ecosystem, when you start thinking about, all the moving parts and it throws you into that place of overwhelm, you're not going to do anything,
Yeah.
right? But if you
Absolutely.
do it in a way that
Feels comfortable?
feels comfortable and makes you excited,
Yeah.
right? And
Okay.
so, you know how to use Riverside, right? You do that inside of Riverside. You can plan it and send the link to your email list. And you can, with Eventbrite, if you want to broaden your audience, then you put it on Eventbrite. And then you can get your AI to help you to, create the email, a short email, because your AI, if you're using ChatGPT,
Mhm.
by now it knows you, right? It
Yeah.
knows your voice, your tone, and all of that. And so you create that, send out the emails, and have them join you. You put the link in there, and you're good to go. And it's not really a whole lot of extra work once you find your rhythm.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna you
I
gotta
think I need an email day, like, where
You
it's not
do. You
like
do
email,
theme
"Ugh,"
based.
it's
Yeah.
email.
Yeah, yeah. And then once you do that, and you got your rhythm, then you can, at some point just hire somebody else to do it. It's, an extra
I
because
like where
that's
you're
what
going with this,
yeah.
Altrima.
Yeah, you hire somebody else to do that.
It might be another year or 2.
Yeah, and that's okay because you want to make sure you have your own rhythm even before you hire someone
Aw, you're
because
so
that's
motivating.
Yeah, I mean, it's really once you find your rhythm and you have your foundation, and you have to have a solid foundation to make sure that ecosystem works, right?
Yeah.
And then your perspective about it. So sometimes you got to change the words, like instead of event, just a gathering, a virtual
Yeah.
gathering, retail therapy, virtual gathering, whatever you want to call it, that helps you to it's like food. This is like taking an aspirin or something. This is going to help me take this aspirin if I drink orange juice with it or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's going to help you
You
to
just adjust it to
yeah,
where the thought process behind it
the thought
isn't
process
so
behind it. Yeah.
so
And so
overwhelming.
yeah. Yeah. And so
Okay.
but that I think that's you create a theme day, right? Look at your current schedule. You have a to-do list just like me. Mine
Yeah.
is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. On Tuesdays and Thursdays are when I'm doing these guest interviews. Tuesdays I do my podcast. That's when I record. Mondays is laundry day for me, so it's hard for me to commit to anything, right? But everything is themed, right? And
Yeah.
so, and I think you'll be fine once you commit to it, add it to your schedule, your calendar, and just allow for that time to learn the platforms. Usually learning the platform is the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
It is usually the biggest challenge. And
Yeah,
but
that's what can be
yeah,
really
yeah, it's
challenging
like,
for me.
do I have to learn another thing?
No, that's how I felt with email octopus, but then I practiced and just kind of
Yeah.
played around with it, and it's getting easier.
Yeah, and you and once you understand, even with that platform, if that doesn't work for you, they all work on the same premise. It
Yeah.
won't be hard to learn another email platform because you may say, well, you know what, I don't know if I want to do, email octopus, I want to do another platform. You'll
Yeah.
find that it's still going to be easy to do,
Yeah.
once you kind of learn how that works, right? And
Okay.
so, yeah, yeah. But I think you're gonna be just fine. You're gonna be
Oh,
just
thanks,
fine.
Aljima.
Yeah, yeah, you're gonna be just fine. But all of it, think of it this way: when you're starting something new, it's like going uphill, right? And so, you're going
Very much.
uphill and fighting against gravity, and it's like, oh my gosh,
Just keep
and you
going.
just
Just
keep
keep
going, keep
going.
going. And then once you find your momentum, it gets like that.
Yeah.
Right? And you're kinda it's like, "Oh, yeah, I got that. Let me just crank out that email real quick. And in fact, let me go ahead and schedule 3 or 4 emails in advance, and I don't have to think about it, the next
Yeah.
time."
Certain things that I found so hard earlier at the beginning of this journey, now I find I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I can just do that real
Yeah,
quick."
yeah,
So, it
absolutely.
definitely changes over time the more you practice and
Yeah,
learn.
absolutely, absolutely. So, has this part been helpful for you? And what is it that you think you'll take away from this?
Well, first off, I appreciate all of it and extremely helpful. Yes, check the box.
That's what we do, right? We check the box.
Check the box.
Check yes.
Check yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
I am taking away with the freedom to explore the virtual gathering, the
Yeah,
community, the planning, and recognizing that I might not have all the answers, but that I'm going in the right direction. And your feedback too with the ecosystem, and just kind of simplifying it that I can control how I do it, even if I
yeah,
do emails like once a month or
yeah, yeah,
just focusing on the ecosystem and giving myself grace
yeah,
and
yeah,
really start getting excited for this virtual community gathering.
yeah, yeah. And as you were saying that, the other thing that I would definitely recommend, because you already use AI, is to help you to create the flow, the workflow. And you just tell it what you want it to do. You go in, you say, "Hey, I want to create an ecosystem. I want to do a virtual event, and this is what I want to call it. I want to make sure that I have an email list so that I can continue staying in contact with them. This is my audience. This is my podcast. I'm going to, and this is what you can do." So you can, your transcript, put it inside of your AI and let it read your transcript. And that way it has your tone, how you talk, your audience, all of that. Put as much inside of it so that it gets to know you, and then say, okay, now you have, my podcast information. Based on this
Mhm.
transcript, this is what I want to create.
Yeah.
Right? I want to create a virtual event, but I want to call it retail therapy. I want to do it every other month. I want to create an email list, and I'm using Email Octopus for my events. I want to start using Eventbrite, and I want to use Riverside. So these are the platforms that I want to use. And so what I need you to do for me is to create an SOP with a workflow, and please keep it simple. Keep it as simple as though I was a 5-year old, or, something like
Okay.
that. And it's going to ask you questions, right?
Yeah.
You just answer those questions. And, if you don't like what the output is, you can go back and say, "Hey, no, you know what? I want this instead." I can't
Yeah.
tell you how many times I've changed my mind.
Yeah.
And I'll go back and I'll say, "I want to do this instead. I just was thinking about," and that's how I talk to my AI, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
"Hey,
Me
I
too.
want to," yeah, so it never gets tired of you.
No, it doesn't.
So
But you know
it's
what?
there to help you. The
Yeah.
tool is there to help you to really expedite, the things that you are a steward over, because I believe I am all about stewardship.
Yeah.
And so in order to be a good steward over things, you want to make sure that you do things in excellence and things like that. But the AI will help you do it in record time. So have it create all of that for you, put it on a Google Doc.
Okay.
And, once you look at that, if there's something you don't understand, go back into AI and say, hey, could you explain more about this point?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, that's
and
true.
even when you are, I love doing this. So even when you are in the middle of, let's just say, email octopus, right? And you're learning how
Okay.
to do that, you take a screenshot of where you are in the process. You put that
Yes.
into your AI and say,
I've
tell me
done
what to
that.
do next.
Yeah, like, this is where I am. I did that yesterday when I was learning how to create the email
Yeah.
template.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, "I'm stuck. I don't know what
Yeah.
this next step
Exactly.
is, what this means," and it
Yeah.
helps.
Yeah. And so when you have all of that, you have your SOP, you have your workflow, you have your theme days, and you have your ecosystem. Because you tell it, you say, I'm trying to create an ecosystem here. So what does that look like? Have it to draw it out, because do it like, little boxes, this,
Yeah, I'll tell it to make a list of my things that I still need to do, but
yeah,
I'm not, detailed enough where I don't describe it in a way to where, like, the way you've broken it down for me, how to
yeah,
ask it
yeah.
questions and the
And
ecosystem, things like
yeah.
that.
And then you ask it, you say something like, is this enough information for you to do what I'm asking you to do? And it will tell you. It will
Okay.
tell you. Yeah. Yeah. It's equivalent to talking to, like, having you and I having a conversation, and then you have another question about it,
Yeah.
you know?
'Cause I'll do the recording where I just sit there and I just, like, do a
Exactly.
whole, like, brain dump,
Yep.
where you're just talking and
Exactly.
talking.
Exactly. That's what you do. That's exactly what you do. And it's going to help you create it. And you just take your time, give yourself some grace. And then when you don't have to launch the retail therapy gathering until you're ready. But what you
Yeah.
can do is let people know that that's what's coming up.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, yeah.
So I don't have to have a date. I can just be like, "Hey, this is
No, not
happening."
give yourself some grace, honey.
Okay.
Give
Okay.
yourself some grace.
It's my favorite word.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I want to let the audience know that the information, bio, all of your links will be in the show notes of this episode.
Love it.
And so they can
Yeah.
reach out to you. But is there anything in closing? Is there anything else that you wanted to share with the community and the people that will be listening to the podcast?
First off, thank you for taking time. You, Aldrima, for taking time with me, and for the listeners for taking time. They listen to the episode, even a few minutes. Time, I know our time is very valuable, and I appreciate you. And I am looking for feedback, but also hoping to just bring a smile to anyone who's listening.
Yeah.
And if you're listening to an episode about one of the guests and their story, just how you can hear their story and how people
Yeah.
just surprise me every day, how inspirational they are.
Hmm.
But I thank you.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. I would add to be kind to the people that's helping you in the store. Be kind.
Oh,
I would
yeah.
say that. And I say that because when I do go into a store, a lot of times the person that's at the checkout, they won't look up at you. I make sure that I connect with them eye to eye and I say something, even if it's just hello.
Dreamer, that is so important. Saying
Because,
their name, a lot of
yeah.
times they have a name
They have a
tag.
name tag. My
So
husband does
I'll
the same thing. He'll say, "Well, what's
yeah,
your name again?"
yeah.
And or how do you pronounce it? And then he may
Mhm.
say, so what is that? What does your name mean? He's a great conversationalist, you
Aw,
know. But it means so much to people when you treat them like people,
it's
you
so
know.
true.
Yeah.
I like to say the end of some of my episodes is just be kind whether you're behind the counter or in front of it.
Mm,
And a smile, even just a smile, can
exactly.
go such a long way. And it sounds cheesy, but it's a way to connect with people. You don't know what
Absolutely.
they're going through. They don't know what you're going through. But for that
Absolutely.
moment, you
Yeah.
can just, hi,
Yeah. Yeah. It
hi,
goes a long
Audrima. How are
way.
ya?
Yeah.
Are you having a good day? I
Yeah.
appreciate you.
It goes a long way, a long way. This is from a person who it's been a long time since I've been on the other side of the counter. However, I've worked in a lot of different restaurants. I've been a waitress before,
Me
so all of those
me
things, just treating people like people goes a long way.
does.
Yeah. Well, Hillary, I do want to thank you for joining me. I appreciate what you do. I think it's a very, very unique type of podcast. And I do believe that because organic, it takes a while, but I do believe it's going to really gain a lot of momentum and attention because of its uniqueness. And
Around
so
Jima.
just keep doing what you're doing. And so whatever way I can help you, just reach out to me. So you already know how to reach out to me. So I want to thank you for being on this episode. I want to thank all the listeners for listening and people for watching. And if you have questions, make sure that you reach out to Hillary if you're in that audience and you want to be a guest on her show and you fit
I
the
would love it.
criteria, yeah, she would
Yes.
love it. Okay. She would love it. So there we have it. All right. Again, Hillary, I thank you. I thank you, audience. This is Aldrima signing off from the Organizedpreneur podcast. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much for
Aldrima.
watching.
Thank you.
You're welcome.